In recent years in the TF2 conversation, serious critique has been leveled at Sniper, no doubt worsened by the bot crisis, which has spanned roughly 5 years. However, bringing to question his design isn't anything new, which begs the question, is Sniper balanced? From a numbers point at least, yeah. For the most part, his DPS caps at 88, which is far lower than Heavy's 340, or Scout's 96, or even Demoman's 160. So clearly, raw damage output isn't the problem. But making that argument is deceitful, because Sniper is a pick class, whose more important metric is per shot, not per second. But comparing his max per shot damage, it's not preposterously higher than what other classes can do. A headshot does 150 to 450, which is an assload of damage to be fair, but so is a melee crit at 195. A Demoman can set up a trap for 960, and a spy does 100% of your health. So really, his burst damage isn't that unprecedented either, at least relative to other classes. But perhaps it's range. Sniper is, after all, one of the few classes that doesn't have to worry about damage fall-off all that much, and having a scope makes things all that easier. And yes, in this regard, Sniper is better than everyone else. Demoman's primary has no fall-off, sure, but his range is hard limited. Though it is worth noting that sticky traps can work anywhere on the map, which makes this comparison a bit more fuzzy. Though to compensate, his short range abilities are quite lackluster. His sidearm is more or less a glorified pistol, which is more for cleaning up targets than primary defense. Sure, Sniper can headshot at any range, but doing so sure isn't easy. So, in a vacuum, I'd have to say yes, Sniper is a balanced class. But therein lies the catch. In a vacuum. The reality is the player experience. Of course, numbers-based balancing is mostly meaningless once the rubber hits the road. That is to say, actual balance doesn't matter, only how players experience him. From my own observations, the actual thesis against Sniper isn't he's too powerful, though that is what people say. However, the actual underlying message is Sniper is not fun to fight. But why exactly is that? What about Sniper specifically is so frustrating? Well, the argument most commonly said is that Sniper lacks proper counterplay, and in this there is truth. Your counterplay for the majority of classes is to strafe around randomly and hope that he misses. However, lack of counterplay exists for many other classes too. If a revved up Heavy drops next to you, you're probably dead. If a Demoman placed a trap around a corner, you can only really try to avoid it, assuming you see it at all. And if a spy is behind you while you're doing something, you just have to hope that hit reg is in your favor or somebody else spots him. What I propose is an alternative theory. Sniper is not fun because he lacks opportunity cost. But what is opportunity cost? Simply put, it's the downside for not choosing something else. For Demoman, if he sets up a sticky trap, he pays the opportunity cost for not being on the front lines where he's more immediately useful. And taking a look at Spy, when he backstabs, he pays the opportunity cost of exposing his position that he could have otherwise used to relay information to his team or perhaps harass an engineer. But Sniper, when he headshots, what does he pay? A reload and 1 ammo. Sniper is far enough back that any cost he'd pay for mistargeting is counteracted by his team being a buffer for consequences. But of course, opportunity cost is not a complete picture. Sniper also lacks any significant non-skill based balancing. What does non-skill based balance mean? It's a balancing factor that, no matter how skilled a player is, will always be present. Think Soldier only having 4 rockets, Heavy's slow movement speed, Spy's time-limited cloak, or Pyro's poor range. All of these are balancing factors that, no matter how good a player is, cannot be overcome. Sure, a soldier can aim better to conserve ammo, a heavy can use faster routes, a spy can manage cloak and memorize ammo, and a pyro can use flank routes better. But at the end of the day, they're working around their weaknesses. On the other hand, sniper has a massive clip size with an only moderately slow speed for reloading, and low health that's counteracted by him being in the backlines, with forced scoping only being made less impactful the more skilled he is. How do we make it better? What's truly wrong with sniper? Well, it's multiple factors, working in tandem. I'd summarize it as such. Being one-shot from anywhere on the map is incredibly frustrating, because players have little to no recourse against or awareness of the sniper, who has an incredibly high skill ceiling that, at the same time, is not meaningfully punished for making mistakes. So, how do we solve this? Well, first I'd like to dissect some of the other community suggestions first, and see where they fall flat, and then take that knowledge to think of a more direct acting solution. So one solution, give sniper a clip-based reload, with the thinking being that increasing sniper's downtime gives more opportunity for counterplay, and further increases the penalty for missing. However, the problem with this is that sniper is still in the backlines, which means you have to push through the enemy team in order to punish the sniper. So that's one issue, and the second issue is that it doesn't actually solve the issue of dying randomly. Another solution, give sniper tracer rounds, with the rationale that it reveals the location of the sniper every time he fires, which allows for informed counterplay. The issue is that, again, sniper is in the backlines, he can reposition with little to no risk, and it doesn't solve the issue of dying randomly. Another solution I've seen proposed, give him a laser sight, with the rationale being that it reveals where the sniper is and where he is aiming, which allows for a much better insight into his targeting. The problem with this is that quickscopes are unaffected. The more information is good, but you can't really use the knowledge all that much, because, again, he's in the backlines, and a change like this would further encourage sniper to be behind his team. One solution I've seen also is to reduce bodyshot damage, which has the thought process of sniper has to aim for the head in order to secure kills reliably. However, the issue with this is that it only raises the skill floor, and doesn't do all that much for the skill ceiling, because a good sniper can just headshot you as normal. Now, a similar vein, reduce the quickscope damage to 140. I've seen this a few times, and really the only reason this exists is because people like propping medic up on the pedestal. However, the problem is that there's still 4 other classes who have to endure sniper's presence, meaning that it's a mostly meaningless change for a lot of the classes. So, given all of those previous proposed solutions and how they fall flat, I see one solution, and a simple one at that. Solution: reduce sniper's damage by 20% universally. Decrease reload speed to compensate for the lower damage. And the thought process behind this is that lowering sniper's damage makes getting one shot far less frequent, and it additionally lowers the skill ceiling, while the faster firing raises the skill floor. Attaining one shots now requires charging your rifle, which leads to an actual opportunity cost of charging, which gives you tunnel vision and forces you to lock into your position. Although the only problem with this solution is it doesn't solve information disparity. However, the information disparity is only a huge problem simply because Sniper one-taps people from anywhere. And if this was implemented, I imagine people wouldn't be harping on about the information of Sniper. This change would also have the additional effect of making Sniper less of a pick class, and more in line with a support, since his role would shift towards taking out select targets less, and more towards picking off already damaged people or softening up enemies for his team to finish off, similar to how Spy plays, with a one-shot headshot being a high-risk play, in a similar spirit to Spy's backstab being a high-risk one-shot play. Of course, it goes without saying that this is a direct nerf to Sniper if the Sniper is only aiming to do one-tap eliminations. But you tell me, would changing Sniper in such a way be an overall good thing? Anything I overlooked? Any other alternatives you can think of? Do you think Sniper is even a problem at all?